Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for making the time. I promise to make this time well spent. Right up front, I'll let you know if you're not currently getting appointments through your online messaging service that show at the same rate as your inbound phone call sales appointments, then this is for you. You should be. This is a very viable way of selling in today's market. And NADA recently released that the average cost of retail per vehicle sold is $749. That emphasizes the fact that we're spending, dealers are doing the right things, very thoughtful, very creatively, very passionately, putting material in various places, whether it's over-the-top streaming, radio, TV, of course, all the online SEO, geo, and on and on and on to capture the attention of people, to encourage people to get into the market. We know Pinterest actually is a great place for that. So point is, money's being spent thoughtfully to capture attention. If you're not transitioning that into real revenue for your dealership, this is what we're going to talk about today. That moment where you've captured their attention, they're on your site. How do we get them to make those steps into the dealership and transition into revenue? So my name's Carol Marshall. I'm the COO of Active Engage. I've been in the industry about 30 years, started out in the dealership. And so I'm very familiar with looking at reports and all the visits and engagements that my location may have had, and yet I had 3 people walk in the door. That's what we're going to talk about. How do we increase that, what you're seeing in the dealership, as we used to say, get them off the mouse, out of the house, and into your location. So the first thing I want to address is something I think we've all heard, but in 2026, it really is vitally important that we get this, that consumers are no longer just shopping for products. They are also shopping for an experience. So the experience that you are providing the moment they come into contact with your business is super important. It does not matter that they've spent up to 14 hours online researching and they have narrowed it down to a model or an actual vehicle on your website. They're looking for that great experience to make the final decision. We know from a recent Cox study that 2 out of 3 buyers said they would pay more for a great experience. The experience matters more than price. And at a time when we talk about affordability, and really our hands are tied to what we can do in order to address affordability, experience is where we can make it difference and make it matter to improve what we're seeing on the bottom line. What we're seeing in 2026 in terms of shoppers, and I'm sharing this information based on what we're seeing in conversations this year here at Active Engage. The 2026 shopper feels a lot like 2008 again, where buying is more than just a want, it's a need. And those kind of fall into 3 different buckets. Their current vehicle has had its final need for repair, where the repair is going to cost more than the actual value of the vehicle. And so now it's a need to replace, not just a want to replace. Buyers are very aware that they're underwater. They are aware of the inequity. These COVID era buyers, they're coming into conversations knowing already that they're upside down in their current vehicle, and they know they still need to replace it. And what we're also kind of seeing, which is a beautiful, neat little trend, as a mother of 4, I love to see it, growing families. More and more people are having that second, third child where it's requiring them to move into a bigger vehicle. And they have their dream bigger vehicle, and then they have, okay, I just need a bigger vehicle. And so that's where opening up that conversation when they first come into contact with you will help your team land them in a vehicle that fits their needs as well as their budget. Our shoppers right now, we're also seeing they desire guidance regardless of the research they've done already. So we're seeing a couple of different types of buyers fall into this bucket. You have those shoppers who are in between a hybrid or a full electric vehicle, as well as you have newer buyers in the market, meaning this is the first time they're buying a car on their own. They don't know, when can I come into the dealership? When can I sit in the car? When can I test drive? I'm not sure I'm ready to buy, but I am sure I'm ready to come in and get a closer look. And so these buyers also, especially coming into the conversation filled with anxiety, they've done the research, they understand the features and the models. They really are looking for assurance in what they've already learned, but what do they not know? They know what they know, but they also know they don't know everything. And so that's where we as dealer personnel and those handling these interactions can really connect and build trust in order to help them move forward. Where have they been doing all of this research? What might they be coming in already knowing? Well, they're going to the OEM sites. They're studying the different models, the different trim packages. If I know I absolutely want leather seats, what trim level do I need to be at? They're doing that research on the OEM sites or leveraging their favorite AI tool. That's where they're getting that information from. They're visiting marketplaces where they can do side-by-side comparisons. So maybe there's a few different models that fit the needs, and now they want to see what are reviews, what are the comparisons on these models. They might check pricing on the marketplaces. They're reading online reviews of your dealership, again, seeking that great experience where they'll feel comfortable of moving forward in the process. As I mentioned, a smaller percentage, but I'm sure it's growing, of those using their favorite AI tool to get information about the actual vehicle as well as dealerships in their area. And then finally, they land on your site, the dealership website. I mean, they're pretty armed and stacked, right, with information. They've spent all of this time. They've gone down the rabbit holes. So now they're landing on your site. Now what? What happens? You tell me, what are your shoppers going to experience? I think that's a great question, and I think it's a valuable question for you to answer. But don't shop the way you shop. If you want, you can DM me, message me through LinkedIn, email me, whatever. I'm happy to send you 5 prompts that we see coming in and test those on your own site and see what experience your buyers are getting on your own site. And trust me, they're not asking the difference between every trim level in a model. That's not what they're asking. They're not asking, how does Apple CarPlay work? Those are cute little prompts that many AI companies like to tell dealers, this is what shoppers want to know when they come to your site. It's not. It's not even in the top 20. They have other interests. They have their anxieties. As we discussed, who are these buyers? They have their own very specific anxieties and situations. They've been online. Now they're looking for a human touch, someone to acknowledge, this is what's in my head, this is what I've seen, and then move it forward. So again, don't hesitate. You DM me an email address. I'll send you like, hey, these are 5 situations that we see pretty often, and test your own site. See how that feeling comes across on your own dealership site. I'm sure that you've called your store. Maybe you stopped calling your store, but you shop every other aspect. I would encourage you to shop this aspect as well and see what the experience feels like. So I'm sure you've all heard the quote about timing and sales. It's critical in sales to be there when the opportunity presents itself. Timing is critical. And when we think about all of the messaging and the marketing that you've placed in all these various places to collect the interest of those shoppers, and now they have set aside this time to connect with you at the dealership, don't let them have this moment. Don't let them come in with something to say and find that there's distraction or no acknowledgement of them, which is what this is. It's the same thing. That is such a huge, huge loss of an opportunity for two-way engagement. And why is two-way engagement so important? Because if you are there, right time, right place, when the consumer has chosen to connect, now you can forget about all the follow-up and trying to get them again in that headspace where they're ready to talk about this potential transaction. Being in the right place at the right time is absolutely important, as is being prepared. So you need to be there and be prepared at that moment. And that's why just having an AI tool to greet them and carry on the whole conversation is, again, a waste of all of those marketing dollars and efforts that you've put forth. And I'll explain why. There's a couple of misses when we think about where AI is today. One is hallucinations. And hallucinations, meaning giving wrong information. I love that we call it hallucinations. It means they're wrong. I've started to also say I'm never wrong, but occasionally I may hallucinate. And I like to give myself that fancier technological term for being wrong. But we ran an 18-month pilot here at Active Engage with an AI assistant in the background. All it needed to do was to bring inventory and other basic information to the humans. And what we found is that over 30% of the time, the information was wrong. And while some may not think that's a big deal, recently I was in a dealership where the general sales manager explained to me that their AI tool in their CRM had responded to a lead and said the vehicle is not available. When he saw that, he called the customer and said it was wrong. They have the vehicle on the lot. He FaceTimed the customer and said, look, it's right here. But she did not believe him, and that's a lost deal. Unfortunately, we know as dealers, we're not known for being trustworthy or have the highest reputation for saying everything as transparently as possible. And so once an AI has given wrong information or hallucinated, that's kind of deadly to the deal. It's tough to overcome. So why put that obstacle between you and your customer? The other issue with AI today is it misunderstands tone. What that translates to is sometimes making overly personal statements, but it also can overly positively state a consumer's ability to buy, meaning credit score or safety reviews on a vehicles. The element of human empathy is not something that can be produced today from AI, and that element can be so fruitful when building trust and connection. We believe AI is a fantastic tool. We've deployed it in several products here at Active Engage. The first product we deployed with AI is the summary. And when we deployed it in fourth quarter of last year, we actually got phone calls from general managers thanking us. What AI Summaries does is it takes that human-to-human conversation where all of the empathy is expressed, trust is built, and it summarizes that 10 to 12-minute conversation so that in the CRM, your sales team can see the 3 or 4 lines that summarizes this very, very long conversation. And within 2 minutes know, oh, Bob is seeking this. This is the best time to connect. This is the preferred method of contact. Here's his timeline to buy. Here's his trade-in. And you get all that information because, as I said, there's empathy. There's a human touch there. Other AI products, we have AI Outreach, where AI sends a schedule of text to the consumer, whether it's service-based or sales-based. The moment the consumer interacts with it, it's sent to our team of humans to carry on the conversation and move it forward to an appointment. Other are the language translation, which kind of seems like a no-brainer, but it's more than just a Google Translate. It actually pays attention to the phrasing, and there's certain phrases that you don't want to translate word for word. So we have a whole suite of AI products. Receptionist we just released. AI Receptionist actually is the first interaction with the customer, but it's not the complete interaction. So I liken AI Receptionist to when you're on the sofa and someone knocks on your door, your child is going to run to that door a lot quicker than you're going to get off the sofa and get to the door. But the only thing your child's going to say is hello. And after that point, you're taking over. With our receptionist, the consumer is entering their name, what they're interested in. The AI tool is acknowledging that, letting them know, I'm going to get you right to a human. That conversation goes directly into the queue for our humans to pick up and carry on that conversation. It's super helpful when you have peak times of day. So instead of a consumer waiting 20 seconds to get picked up, maybe it gets picked up in 10 or 5 seconds. So it's not for every dealer. We have had dealers say, I don't want that anywhere near my customers, and we absolutely honor that. But for those that prefer it, it's here. I say that to say we're not anti-AI. We just we understand how to deploy it. Our AI is human-centric design. It makes sense with what the level of AI is today and the ability and the availability of humans to handle where they're strongest. And working together, you have a best-in-class tool. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive on why that human touch and empathy matters. I hear a lot of times, why does it matter? Chat's just somebody checking on price or availability, right? And yes, the majority of the conversations start with a question about the availability of the vehicle or the price of the vehicle. However, that's not at all where they end. And if you have prepared to master that moment of connection, you get some really good information that builds trust and situates your sales team to close on that deal. Here's some good examples. So in this first one, the customer says, I'm interested in the Seltos LX and lease. And yes, so they're interested in a particular model. Pretty straightforward question. Our agent answers with, hello, happy Monday. I hope you're doing well today. I'd be happy to help you with your search for a Seltos LX for lease. Are there any must-have features in your lease or Seltos? The customer says, hello. I love the fact that the customer wants to acknowledge the hello with a hello. And that can't be overlooked. Those little niceties like hello, happy Monday, that signifies and signals immediately this is a human you're talking to. Customer says, this car is going to be for my son who will be graduating college in May. The only thing he does not want is a white car. Other than that, he's good. What great information. Now we've opened it up, right? So it's not just the Seltos they're looking at. Any car that's not white will work. That's a great piece of information. If I was just AI and I just gave straight data about the Seltos or about a lease special, would I have that information? Probably not. Another example, the customer comes in saying, I was wondering if soft doors in a roof can be added to this vehicle. And our agent says, good morning, Katie. I would be happy to confirm with our team the installation options available. Do you have any other questions for me? So again, we're opening up the conversation. I would encourage whoever you have handling these moments, open up the conversation. it's most likely the same direction you've given BDC teams and phone teams for years and years and years, as well as your sales team when they greet people in your dealership. Open up the conversation. Don't let it just sit on price or availability. The customer says, "This is a gift for my husband, a 4-year cancer survivor from stage 4. So I'm trying to do this on my own. I know he wanted to be able to convert this to the Jeeps that doors can be removed, if that makes sense." Wow, what a story, and what an opportunity to not just win this deal, but win a customer for life and have a phenomenal story to share in your future marketing efforts. What a great opportunity. So just showing you're human, paying attention, and ready to assist opens up the story behind that one moment. If you'd like to hear or see more of these, please just message me. Again, you can message me through LinkedIn. You can email me, Carol@ActiveEngage, and I'll share with you 3 full conversations so you can really understand how that empathy builds on the emotion that the shopper has come in. It builds connection where we can reveal the timeline to buy, trade-in information, best way to contact, and really the why behind the purchase. So I promised you at the start that if you're not seeing certain results from your messaging, text and chat, and that's from your marketplace, from your website, from any kind of Facebook ads you have going on, social media, let's fix that today, because your budget is gone. You have spent the money, your marketing's out there, you're capturing people's attention. Let's get excited and let's turn them around today. Here's what you do. First, have dedicated people ready to meet the moment to have that live, 2-way engagement with that consumer, sales and service. I didn't even get into service. When we set service appointments, rather than having the shopper go through an online scheduler, the show rate increases by 30%. 30%. We all know what absorption rate does for your dealership. Let's fill the drive and fill the bays, right? So step 1, have dedicated people ready to meet that moment, answering chats and SMS, preferably under 20 seconds. And let's make sure those people are prepared. They need to understand how to have the conversation. And I'll give you that step 2 little tip. Greet and be personable. The niceties like good morning, thank you, just a moment. They go a long, long way in letting them know that you are human, that you're ready to assist, but you're at their pace. Don't forget our please and thank yous. Have a great afternoon. All of these little things do make a huge difference, as you just saw in a couple of examples. Step 3, throughout the conversation, be responsive, preferably within 1 minute. You could go up to 90 seconds. And honestly, after consumers have spent 14 hours online and now they know they're engaged with a caring human, they will give you the benefit of the doubt if it stretches to a 2-minute between responses. But best practice is to try to keep it to 1. And remember, you can always use a stall statement. Just a moment while I look into that for you. Don't forget common courtesy throughout the conversation. Step 4, ask open-ended questions that are pertinent without being too intrusive too early. Think about your questions. Don't start the conversation with a finance question. Start the conversation talking about the vehicle, because what are people excited about? They're excited about the vehicle. Are they excited about how they're going to pay for the vehicle? No, not so much. So stay away from those questions in the first 3 to 4 minutes of the conversation. Try to keep it about them, what their timeline is, what needs they're looking to meet. And finally, step 5, kind of the same thing. Have the goal of an appointment in mind, not closing the deal. There should not be any pre-qualification in determining whether this person can buy within this chat conversation. That is a death knell. Don't do it. Be focused on the person, be focused on the needs they're trying to meet, and let's just get them into the dealership for an appointment. That's all really they're looking for. They're seeking that bridge, again, off the mouse, out of the house, and into your showroom, where we know that you can take the best care of them and land them on what fits their needs. I hope that you found this useful and helpful. I'm excited for you to go out and try it and turn it around and start getting more revenue from your marketing spend. I love to have these conversations anytime. Again, this is my career, is in this industry that I love. Happy to talk anytime to anyone. Feel free to reach out via LinkedIn or my email. Happy to connect and help you keep growing your business.